sponsor.
Good evening. I bring you a powerful story on a cold winter's New Year bloom January night. I have a guest with me today. As you can see, he's donned with a balaclava on and a Palestinian, how do you say it, kafaya?
Kufiyeh.
Kafia. And there is a reason for that. This brother has been not charged with terrorism, but has been in prison for terrorism charges, alleged terrorism charges put to him. And I won't tell you much more now. We will uncover the story. This is a convoluted story and it is quite saddening. And the reason we've taken this episode on, or this story on, is just to highlight what can happen if you're caught in the crosshairs of anti-terrorism laws. Now, there's 4 key terrorism laws that have come from incidental events. So you've got the 7/7, the 9/11 attacks, and so on and so forth. And I'm just going to read it out to you. The 4 key terrorism pieces of legislation, they stem from counter-terrorism legislation. They are the Terrorism Act 2000, the Anti-Terrorism Crime and Security Act 2001, the Prevention of Terrorism Act 2005, and the Terrorism Act 2006. Now, from one of these acts stems the infamous, or rather famous, Schedule 7 detention legislation. And I'm just going to give you a quick summary. It will appear on your screen on what it is, what the Schedule 7 allows authorities or enforcement powers in terms of detention. So essentially, you can detain someone for up to 6 hours, question them without suspicion. So it's purely on the whim of the agent or the enforcer. So that could be an immigration staff, that could be police. So any form of authority can stop you, primarily at airports, to question you and seize any electronic devices that they deem fit to allow them to carry out their investigations. Now, this brother, he has been obviously not indicted, so to speak, but he's been questioned for terrorism, and I will change to him in a bit. But before that, I'd like to thank my main sponsor, Ahyaan Estate. If you're a landlord or you're planning to let a property, reach out to them. They're loyal, reliable, and trustworthy. If you're having any marital disputes, reach out to Simplex Coaching. Now, this brother, he has worked in the charity field, and because this story is quite convoluted, we will try our best to make it make sense and hopefully try and get the most pertinent things that this story comes out of. So without further ado, thank you very much. I won't mention your name. We'll keep you anonymous. Let's start off with your occupation, building up to your apprehension. So just tell me, what is it that you did for a living prior to being arrested for terrorism?
I was involved in charity work, local humanitarian aid organization since 2014 up to 2018.
And just for my purpose, and I've know partially your story, but for the audience's purposes, what did this charity work entail?
So the charity provided mainly food, medical aid, emergency tents, and toiletries.
So all of these products were. So you worked for a British humanitarian charity.
Yes, that's right.
And the toiletries and the humanitarian aid and the medical aid were primarily for war-savaged countries.
War-torn countries, yeah, that's right.
Right. And can you just mention some of the countries that you worked with?
So we've worked with Burma, Rohingya, Lebanon, Syria, Bangladesh, Gambia, Palestine.
So pretty much across the world, in various continents.
Right.
And is there anything now that you look back and that you think that may have aroused suspicion? And I'm not saying that it's valid suspicion, but something that you may have done that put you on the authorities' radar.
So mostly was the aid delegation to Syria that was suspicion for the authorities here.
Okay. So that's
And
that's the delegation that caused red flags. Just quickly, what was it? What was it that you were doing for Syria at the time?
so at that time we was gathering funds for medical aid, mainly medical aid and ambulances.
Okay.
This was June 2014.
2014.
That's right.
And so these ambulances, where were they going from and where to?
So we drove them from London through Europe all the way to Syria.
Okay. And you yourself went to Syria
That's right.
to hand deliver this ambulance with the medical aid inside it.
That's right.
Now, normally, in any circumstances, when people usually donate money or they give food packs or parcel packs, or they usually have an agency or a body in that country, and through them they deliver aid.
That's
So
right.
I think it's quite remarkable that someone from London drove an ambulance through Europe to Syria to personally hand deliver this aid as well as the ambulance. So in normal circumstances, that's a remarkable thing to do. And I think, in my opinion, I think that's Nobel Prize peace worthy, if that makes sense. Nobel Peace Prize worthy, if that makes sense. So instead of you being applauded and a tap on the back, you're helping people that have been bombed. And we all know about the civil war that has taken place. Alhamdulillah, it's come to an end now, for the last 10 or 11 years. So it was in between that time that you delivered an ambulance, right,
That's right.
to Syria.
There's 20 ambulances, and that's it. We also had an organisation over there. It wasn't just ambulances. We gathered a lot of funds. So with those funds, we bought food over there: rice, oils, chickpeas, tin food, tin beans, stuff. You know.
Thanks for divulging that. So essentially, the reason I asked that is to give the audience an idea of what it is your occupation was. So you worked, if I presume, you're a British-born Muslim that worked in a humanitarian Muslim charity in Britain that delivers aid all around the world to people that are most in need.
Yes, mostly it was volunteering. It wasn't for financial gains. I wasn't working there for
So you
financial
volunteered?
gains. Yes, it was mostly a volunteering part I was doing.
Okay.
My financial side, I had a couple of barber shops.
Okay, so you're a businessman.
financially was okay. Yes.
Okay, so this was just out of that's very commendable, just out of purely that you wanted to help. And as many of us Muslims do, we feel obliged to help our Muslim brothers and sisters in other countries that are in severe difficulty. Right. So you did that for how long?
So from 2014 up until 2018.
Okay, 2018. Talk to me about, so because you volunteered and you went to numerous countries, talk me through your interactions with airport authorities going to and coming from other countries since that time.
So throughout all those years,
Yeah.
some years I used to fly out 3-4 times,
Yeah.
some years twice.
Right.
Every time I used to come back to the country, I used to get Schedule 7. They used to take my phone, they used to take my passwords, they used to question me. It was always minimum, once I can remember it was 3 hours, every other time 6 hours, every other time.
So the Schedule 7 parameters allow the authorities to detain you for up to 6 hours. What's notable here, and I think is very important to me, is that you are being stopped for delivering humanitarian aid to these war-torn countries. And it's only them. So prior to you volunteering for this charity or many charities you say you worked for, were you ever stopped for Schedule 7?
No.
So it was only because you worked for an Islamic humanitarian charity, a charity. I can make that correlation
Yes.
because
that's right.
that's when it happened, right?
That's right.
Okay. And just a side note, you see a lot of British citizens alongside American and Indian citizens that go over to fight for IDF, and I was wondering if they get stopped for Schedule 7 because
That time when war broke out in Ukraine,
Yeah.
I heard people from UK were packing
Yeah.
trucks, vans, and driving out there, being supported and all that.
See, I'm quite dumbfounded that a man or men or women that work for a charity and they're not going to fight anyone or cause anyone any sort of harm. They're trying to help people that are very destitute. It's them obviously it matters. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. You're Muslim, right? And unfortunately, there's prejudice and stereotypes associated to it. But if you just look at the disparity here, a Muslim man working for a charity routinely gets stopped at the airport under Schedule 7, under the guise of Schedule 7, whereas you can, as a British citizen, go to fight for the IDF, go to fight for the Ukraine, and so on and so forth, and you're welcomed back like a hero. Well, potentially, wars are wars, but you're technically going to kill someone else. So why is it that you hand out medicine and food packs, you get stopped and questioned under terrorism, but someone that potentially will go to fight for another country's army that can potentially kill people, and at times women and children, they get a hero's welcome? I'm not asking.
Double standards,
it is double
racism.
Standards. Yeah.
I could place all sort of.
Yeah, I don't expect an answer. It's just a fact, and I think it's worth noting. Moving on now. So you've worked from 2014 to 2018 for a humanitarian charity as a volunteer. You're regularly, routinely stopped under the Schedule 7 Act. What stop was it that broke the camel's back?
So 2018, it was the most that I actually flew out the country.
Right.
So I went Bangladesh.
Mm.
From there I went to Rohingya, come back to Bangladesh. From Bangladesh, come back, got Schedule 7, they took my phone.
Yeah.
They gave it back to me straight away. Then after that I went Palestine, I flew to Tel Aviv. From Tel Aviv, got in, came back from Tel Aviv, got Schedule 7, this time 7 hours, they kept my phone, and they posted it back to me after 7 days. So that year I went Turkey, this time because of there was some questions that had risen within the charity side. I had to go to Turkey to get some clarifications and understand a few things. So I come back to this country. That's when I decided that I need to step back away from all the charity sector and rethink everything, what I want to do and how I'd like to, carry on with what I am attracted to, helping people. So don't necessarily need, an agency. Wherever you go, country, holiday, tourist trips, you can just give, here and there. So I stepped back. That year again, I booked another ticket during end of December 2018, Turkey again. So Heathrow Airport, they arrested me, Schedule 7. They got me back to local police station in East London.
Just a second. So this is the time. So you've been stopped regularly on Schedule 7 over the course of the last 4 years.
Coming back to the country.
Why is it that this time they stopped you at the airport and didn't allow you to proceed? Tell me about that.
This time they arrested me, got me back to police station, and in the police station they arrested me for terrorism, counter-terrorism laws, anti-terrorism laws. Kept me in the police station, arrested me again. I got arrested a couple of times, I believe, if I can remember, 2018 it was. Then from there, that was it. That's the beginning of the...
So let's take you back to the airport. So you were stopped on your way to Turkey.
Yep.
You've said that you stepped away from the charity because essentially what you're about is you're more about the delivering of aid and helping people as opposed to the politics that come with charities.
So when I stepped away from the charity, I had a amount of people that I had gathered for them. So I obviously can't give it through the charity because I'm no longer with them.
Okay.
So I felt like I needed to give them myself. So that's why I booked it and I was off.
So you took an oath and there was some charity left over in Turkey that you wanted to ensure.
Not in Turkey, in UK.
In the UK.
That I had to hand over. So
hand over to Turkey in order for them to go through to Syria because that was the only safe passage.
Yes.
Right, so I got that. At the airport, why was it that they arrested you?
So they scheduled 7 me for anti-terrorism. So they took me away.
But what was the reason? Because over the past few years,
they didn't want me to go Turkey. So whatever they arrested me for, whatever information they had, it had something to do with terrorism related. They just
But did they disclose it at the time they arrested
they
you?
did not disclose
Oh, they
me.
just put you in cuffs and took you away.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
right.
from the airport, they got me down to the local station.
Right. Okay. And in the local station, you said you were arrested for multiple things.
That's right.
Can I ask what it is that they were allegedly alleging you of?
So basically, while I was with the charity at that time, I used to get into just WhatsApp groups, multiple. I was in over 300 WhatsApp groups from between 2013 up until 2017, 18. These are groups that I just get in. People put me in because if you know when you work with other aid workers, you create groups. So you have fun days, activities, day outs. Make some people share nasihas, hadith. So I used to just share events, trips, youth works, fun days, so that we can gather funds for the people, for the cause. So that was. Sorry, I forgot where I was coming to. I was trying to make a point.
Yeah. So you're talking about.
I was
WhatsApp
in a
groups.
group. Yeah. So I was in WhatsApp group. So what they're sending, what other people are sending, I had my download because every WhatsApp has auto download. So I used to off my download. So in every groups it was on mute and auto download was off. So nothing was downloaded. Sometimes I used to share in every groups. Then I used to go into the groups to see who's sharing what. Sometimes I used to click on the pictures. One picture must have come up, which they showed me into interview, is what is this article? When I looked at it, I thought, okay, I remember. Somebody sent an article of how to make an explosive with all the tools in your kitchen.
Wow.
So as soon as I saw that, I thought, hang on, this is like a bit of a, out of the picture. What's this about? So I just come out of the group, deleted that whole group. That's when I thought, you know what, this is kind of serious. I deleted every single group. So I wasn't in no more WhatsApp groups. I stopped sharing and everything. So he placed this article on me that he found on this WhatsApp group, which I deleted.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. How can
So I
you
even
find if
told
you
him I
deleted it?
deleted everything. The officer said, yeah, I can see that you've come out of it. But he had a suspicion that I now know how to make a bomb. You see? So that raised concerns to them. I understand that, but got nothing to do with me.
So just if I can just summarize, you're in multiple WhatsApp groups, as everyone is nowadays. Right. Some people add you, don't even know. I usually just mute them. And you said you're over 200 to 300 WhatsApp groups you're involved in. You went to one day, you found someone that shared a manual on how to make a bomb.
Right.
That obviously is quite alarming. You came out of that WhatsApp group. You deleted that image or pamphlet.
Everything. You
deleted it.
The groups.
And somehow that document resurfaced on your phone again.
Somehow the police got it all back.
So the police have technology.
The police got technology to get out everything from WhatsApp. So they took out every groups that I come out. So I kept on telling them, what am I sharing? Can you not see?
Yeah.
They ignore that. Because I'm not sharing no extreme material.
So they can, technically what you're saying is, you and I, and everyone that has a phone that uses WhatsApp or any sort of messenger service, whether it's deleted or not, there's some sort of trace of it or some residue of it.
Still there.
Remnants of it that's there.
Still there.
So they can retrieve it, whether you like it or not.
That's right.
Okay, right. So now they have suspicion that you know how to make a bomb.
Yep.
And you're a fanatic.
How they might portray me from a build-up of past realities and what they can see of the charities and the Muslim world, they might,
So essentially they sort of drawn a picture that you worked for a humanitarian charity delivering aid, which I think is a noble thing, but you went to very controversial countries to deliver them, and now they've found something in your phone. But it wasn't on your phone because you deleted it.
That's right.
Anyone could be. So if I was on that WhatsApp group and I was on auto download, it would be on my phone as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure. Okay, thanks for clearing that up. What happened next?
So then from there, I was taken to court. The court remanded me. Court remanded me. I was in prison. It's just a shock. I had a duty solicitor come to me and tell me you're looking at 25 to 30 years while I'm in.
But you haven't been found guilty.
No, so they didn't take me. They took me to court. Court, they sat me down. They spoke. I didn't have no solicitor. The court just remanded me. It was magistrate's court. They sent it to Crown Court. So once I got remanded, I got taken to prison from there. 2019, I was in prison.
So there was no due process.
There's no
So when did
there's
when,
no charges.
When were they planning to? When were they planning to establish your guilt?
So I didn't know what's happening. I was in total shock. I didn't know what's happening, what's going on. Tried making some phone calls. They didn't allow me no phone calls. In prison, when I was in prison first day, they put me in a cell with nothing in it. Literally, water's not running, toilet's broken, no bedding, no nothing. Literally empty. So I don't know if they were, because obviously when I'm being sent to prison now, the prison staff are going to be sharing like, oh look, there's a terrorist here. And I did get a bit of different treatment at first, you know. I was locked away for 23 hours a day.
So you're in solitary confinement.
I went in solitary confinement when they first opened my door to give me food. After like 3 days, he's giving me like soup. I chucked it in his face. I've been knocking on the buzzer, no water, no nothing.
So for 3 days they
3 days, no water, no
water.
food, no nothing. Out of nowhere, 3 days later, you're coming and you're giving me food. I'm going to sit there, have your food. I'm not in the right state of mind. I chucked that in his face. It burnt his face. He blew the whistle. They took me into the block. Sat in the block. No food. They opened the door. They start chucking things at me. Next they come. They opened up the door. They come in. They battered me. Got broken rib. Broke me, beaten me.
Would you say you were tortured?
It didn't break me to the point that I'm going to fully wild out of them. I thought this is a test for me. Let me see how far I can take it. So mentally now I'm looking at 25 years to 30 years, locked away in prison, being treated totally differently to any other prisoners. Now from there, with a broken rib from the block, they took me back to Crown Court after 2 weeks. From Crown Court, they got me back to prison, another prison it was. And then I'm just sitting there, induction room, thinking, what now, with a broken rib, no medical assistant or nothing. So once they checked me up in that prison, they checked me to health and everything. I told them, they sent me to the doctor. Doctor, sorry, he said he's going to be healing naturally. They can't do nothing about it. No problem. My faith in the system, finished. My faith in the prison system, none of this exists for me.
So, if I can unpack that really quickly, for the first 3 days they didn't give you any food or water.
Nothing.
You were put in a room. You were put in a room
Not
with
even,
no bedding, no mattress.
Not even let out. I
So-
can see people out there. I'm thinking, how comes these
So
people
you were in you weren't in solitary confinement, but really you were in solitary confinement,
At first I was in a normal wing, locked up.
right? And then
After I chucked the
so
suit,
which you got after 3 days.
yeah,
So obviously that contravenes your human rights. So I'm, and I'm sorry to hear that, by the way. The 25 and 30 years that they levelled against you. So when they took you to Crown Court, did they find you guilty? Was there any supporting evidence?
they handed in them articles. They're looking at them articles,
Yeah.
and they adjourned it for another date after a year. So now I'm in remand for a year.
So you're in remand without. Okay. So
Yeah,
you still haven't.
I don't know And don't get me wrong, this is not the first time I've gone in prison. I know how the prison works.
Right.
But because everything was this time different now,
Yeah.
I'm feeling a bit different treatment. Is it because I'm under a terrorism suspicion? You see? So, yeah, I just gave up. In prison, I gave up of everything. But I didn't give up in my faith. That's one thing that kept me going. One thing that held me right. Whether I'm in there for good or it's a test, it's for me to know how much am I going to allow myself to be taken away.
So do you think it was a tactic used to wear you down psychologically and even perhaps physically
yes,
as well?
Yes. They even, I am a British citizen,
Yeah.
but they came to me in prison. It was in the first year. They came to me, they said, if you hand in your citizenship, you won't get 30 years, you can go back to your country.
What do you mean back to your country? You're from this country.
Like give up your citizenship. I felt like they're wanting me to give up my citizenship, so I don't have to do this 30 years.
And where will they send you off to?
I felt like they wanted me to agree to something,
Yeah.
say yep, I am this, I'm that. Yeah. I'm handing in my citizenship, send me back to my country.
And where is your country? What country?
Bangladesh.
So they're coercing you to get a confession, a tacit confession, saying, even though you've not been found guilty of anything,
not been found guilty, nothing.
They've leveled 25, 30 years and said, if you sign this agreement, we'll take away your citizenship and send you back to Bangladesh.
You don't have to do the 30 years.
You don't have to do 30 years that you haven't been found guilty of.
Exactly.
And why would Bangladesh accept you?
It happens to a lot of people. They give them so any ethnic minority with criminal records, I think there's a new law out or something, if they get caught or prison sentences 2-3 times or something, eventually their citizenship gets revoked and they're out of the country. I don't know about it, but this is what I heard while I was in prison.
I don't think they can do that. I mean, there are famous cases. You've got Shamim Begum that has had a citizenship revoked.
But this is one of the cases. There's many cases that public are not aware of.
That's true.
There are so many things.
Sharif, he can no longer come back to his country.
There are so many cases, existing cases, still ongoing. Afia Siddiq, she's, another.
I think
she was an aid worker or doctor or something.
Right. So 25 and 30 years, they're the sort of fear tactics they're instilling in you, that this is what you're potentially looking to get. So you're in remand now. You get, let's just say, special treatment. What did your solicitor at the time say? Surely your solicitor
had a phone call with her the first year. I think during the end of the first year, she came to me and she said to me that there is no evidence and she feels like I'm going to be exonerated. And I didn't understand what she's saying because I didn't want to hear nothing what she has. They're all the same. All the duty solicitors, they don't care about you. Unless you're paying them, they'll fight you. If they know that, he's being paid for, so who cares about him?
So you're saying legal aid gives you a different standard?
There's double standards in every reality and part of life. The good people would see the goodness and look away from that. Those who are crooked would discriminate inside, outside, blatant, direct, all of that.
I can see you're still understandably hurt by this, and I can see why you think that we have a crooked system, which is systemic. Obviously, it's your opinion.
I've lost faith on the system, but this is my country. I love this country. Just like any other country, I love every other country. Peace, justice, equality. It's big in the reality, in the common sense of humanity. Yeah? Let's put religion aside. Then for every Muslim, religion is a main part of peace. So what part of good work that people do in these communities for the victims of other countries raises concerns of terrorist activity. That's where I can't understand.
So your solicitor said they have no evidence against you, and this is, you're already a year in remand,
Yeah,
in
and
prison.
she said she's waiting for some update. She would soon send me a letter. I thought, okay, I just left it. 1.5 years went. I received a letter saying I've been exonerated. Now, what am I doing still in it then?
So you've been in remand for a year and a half now,
Yeah.
and you received a letter saying you've been exonerated. There's
Yeah.
no charges against you.
I've not got no release dates, no nothing. So
You're innocent though.
yeah. So now I'm innocent.
Just for the sake of the audience, that letter will be shown on your screens now. You can carry on, sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So the letter came. I was exonerated. I was happy. Now it's just about time that when am I getting out of here? The prison don't know nothing about me. They're not getting no update on me. Now COVID's coming up. Everything's slowed down. So now I'm stuck in prison. No release dates. Not sure what's going to happen. Now they shipped me out of London. I'm not allowed. For some reason, I'm not allowed to come in London. Probation was on my case. Probation kept on coming and seeing me. So probation was fully on me, and that probation officer said, he mentioned my name and he said, it's not me, it's the SO15. And he mentioned the guy's name. So I thought, okay, if you're telling me it's not you, you do your job. Don't do it don't overdo it. Because at the end of the day, I'm getting legal aid. I'll still find out how much you can do. Because in prison, you can find out prisoners' rights and prisoners' laws and all of that. And through probation, you can understand how much they have power over you, whether in prison or outside prison.
Right.
See, so now I need to go. The probation want control over me. They say they're going to house me, they're going to this. So come 2020, I got released.
Okay. Let me just clarify the timeline. So a year and a half in, you're in London. You were given a letter from your solicitor saying that you've been exonerated of all crimes, but you still wasn't released. You didn't have no dates.
So COVID came. They
transferred you.
So from an A-cap prison, I was a B-cap. From a B-cap prison, they sent me a C-cap.
Okay.
Now I'm out of London. So
But you're still in prison.
yeah, and I haven't got no release dates. But I'm not in an A-cap prison anymore.
Okay.
So I'm in a C-cap.
So you're in a less severe prison.
Yeah.
But you're still in prison.
Yeah.
That's the long and short of it.
Yeah.
So you mentioned SO15. So SO15 are an arm.
That officer was I felt like he wasn't happy. There wasn't nothing on me because he was very adamant that he's going to get.
Well, our
tap on the
justice
shoulder.
system doesn't work on one's whims or one's gut reactions. It's purely based on facts and justice.
This guy personally said to me in my face,
Yeah.
"Now I've got you. You ain't going nowhere."
But you've just been exonerated.
Exactly. But it's not finished yet.
Okay.
After I come out of prison, I had to go and see him because I want my phones back.
Okay.
He goes, your phones are kept and are going to be kept for further investigation.
Right.
I go, is it got to do with me? They said, no, can I have my phone back? No, because it's on an ongoing investigation, it can't be released because it's now evidence. So now they don't want to give me my phone back. So now they've got my passport and my old phones and everything.
Why is there an ongoing investigation if you've been exonerated?
Apparently, they're trying to find out who them groups were and
who was sending that material.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a fair point.
So, yeah, I thought, okay, no problem. So now where's my passport? Give me my passport. He's not giving my passport. So now I'm out of prison. All of a sudden, I'm free. Don't have no family, no friends, nobody around me. Everything's got taken away from me. So, I mean, I'm sitting in Derby, in a room, nothing in there, with 2 prison bags, no family, no nothing. What do I do? 3 years I had no contact with nobody. You know, I thought, I left Derby, I come back to London. Because there's nothing on me, there's no restrictions on nothing. And probation tried so hard to put restrictions on me, but then my solicitor actually fought that and they backed off. So I come back, I built my courage, you know. I was still suffering, you know. Coming out of prison wasn't easy. Paranoia hit me, stress. What am I going to do? Where am I going to go? They've got my passport. That thought that, or if they see me going somewhere, they're going to blow me up. Put my passport. They say it's going to, all these were going through my head. So overcome all of that. Went saw my mom, saw my sister, saw my family. You know, yeah, it wasn't easy for my kids and their mum as well. They were under terrorism watch. They were going private schools. They were being questioned. All my kids, being questioned separately. Some of them had to go counselling. Apparently, my kid's mother, apparently she had to go through counter-terrorism classes and this and that. That's what they placed her on. So I can understand how they destroyed the family, how they put seed into all the family members what I am and who I am. How they do it, I don't know. Everyone sees it on video, on movies. It's real. Going to people's houses, scaring their families off, their parents off, saying, "Oh, did you know your son does this? Do you know he does this? Do you know he was involved in such and such? Do you know your son knows how to make bombs and he's been in Syria?" It sounds weird, but at that moment, my mum, she knew what I'm doing is nothing bad, because my dad used to do the same. My dad took me to Saudi Arabia 96, 97, 98, 99, 4 years in a row before all of these construction sites and all that. Lovely, never got scheduled. Went out there, gave the poor like anything. It's the happiness that I saw at a young age in people's faces that had nothing that always stuck with me. So my mum held on strong. Nobody could, move my mum away from me. But they even, made it hard for her as well. But as soon as I came back in the picture, alhamdulillah, picked myself up. Within a year, I grew my courage, overcome paranoia, overcome a lot of obstacles. And now I don't want to stay here. I want to travel. I've been locked up all this time. I want to travel. My mum, gifted me some money. I did some cash in hand jobs, gathered some money, applied for my passport. Although in the back of my head, I'm thinking I won't get my passport. Alhamdulillah, my passport came. Booked my ticket straight to Amman. From Amman, I went by road to Jerusalem. So the time I'm flying out, I went to the airport. My heart was racing.
I can imagine.
I sat down. I'm looking around, thinking, are there any? You can tell when there are officers in plain clothes now. It's too, I've experienced it too long. So I'm looking around. Nobody's here, but I can see some guys around. I thought, okay, let's see what happens. Getting towards the plane, walking up, still heart's racing. Went into the plane, sat down, flew out. Alhamdulillah, I thought, wow, it was a relief that I'm at. Now let's see what happens over there. Went over there, spent the whole Ramadan in Al-Aqsa, witnessed various realities. Come back here, I get Schedule 7. 2021, Schedule 7. This time they had me for 3 hours. They took my phone. They said, we'll give you your phone back in 7 days. I thought, here we go again. But now I'm not worried because I'm back. Every question they were asking me, I just fired it straight back. Didn't have nothing to hide. I just come out of prison. I want a free life. I want, I even mentioned to them in the custody, after I've come out of prison, the secret services approached me, tried to ask me some questions before they can pack it in. And I asked them, pack what in? Close my case. What case? And so that's when I found out that was actually banned from Europe and Turkey. While I was out traveling, that's when I found out, because I got returned from Turkey.
Okay.
So I come back to this country. They scheduled me. We had a good heated interview that time, and I don't think they liked it, so they kept my phone. They got rid of me. But I wasn't arrested, so it's a good thing. So MI5 wanted to know my narrative, my version, my explanation of my time in Syria 2014, so they can close down their case of whatever they had. But I just simply told them, there's no my version. Just go to the organization direct to themselves. They'll give you my version, because I was under them. That's it. Then I went to another local organization that fights these radical laws. They helped me, assisted me. Found out that I was on the Interpol list and the Europol list.
Wow.
And alhamdulillah, I'm not on the Interpol list. Europol, I'm not sure at the moment.
But you've been removed from Interpol.
Interpol, yes.
And who helped you?
It
off
was
the
this local organisation.
What are they called?
They are called Cage. And alhamdulillah, they've helped me come out of that list. And yeah, they are aware of more stories and realities that people are still this day facing, and their family suffering out here, which many don't know. Many don't even speak out. They leave it to Allah, But the community that witnesses some people doing good, then getting taken aback, there is strong part of the community, then there's backlash of the community, then there's a bit of everything. People talk, which don't benefit nobody. But who's there to support the person's families? Or, only Allah sends, organizations or people in your lives at that moment that does help. And then after coming out, I did travel. I felt like they tried to break me, but alhamdulillah, they couldn't.
No, that's very obvious. I think, if I may interrupt you there, I think when people hear Interpol or Europol, you think it's something out of a Jason Bourne or a James Bond film. Just for the validity of his story, you will see the Interpol letter appear on your screen and this brother's name being chalked off the list, just to add validity to his story. Now, there's so many things that you just said there. I want to start. There were so many things to unpack, and if I can, and forgive me that I'm going to condense it. So the big thing I've taken away from this is your marginalization. The fact that you're in prison for 3 years, in spite of getting a letter of exoneration after a year and a half, you still spent another year and a half in prison. You had SO15, MI5, MI6 question you repeatedly, and in spite of being exonerated and having no case against you and being innocent of all charges, whatever they may have had, MI5 and perhaps MI6 carried on that case. And harassment is a strong word, but they still were breathing down your neck. Now, one thing that's
beyond harassment.
Beyond harassment.
Beyond
Okay,
harassment.
sorry. So I used harassment lightly, but you're saying
when they
that.
mentally
Yeah.
get to you,
Yeah.
not only that, physically get to you,
Yeah.
and then move every part of your family and your, network, your network of loved ones, support network away from you.
So they marginalized you from every fabric of society. Yeah. I do want to focus on your wife and children. And you mentioned that your wife had to do anti-terrorism classes.
She had to go through anti-terrorism courses. Social services were
so
on
did
my
they threaten
kids.
Did they
my
threaten
kids
your
used
wife?
to go private school.
Right.
She was questioned, why are they going private school? Why are they going to Islamic school?
Okay.
So she was scared at that moment. She took them out. She had to go. They forced her to go to anti-terrorism course.
Did they threaten her?
What did she do? What did the kids do?
Did they threaten her with taking the children away?
They did. I'm sure they did.
Not to mention that.
Otherwise, why the social service?
Yeah, it's true.
Why sit my kids down one by one?
I think this is abundantly clear that this process or this method they have in place of marginalization, particularly, and even the fact that you said that probation tried to make sure that you were ostracized from your community. All of those tactics, naturally, any human being would take a mental toll on that human being. And obviously, I'm saying opposite you here today, a few years later, you seem like you're with it and you're happy and you're carrying on doing one of the most striking things that you said, that your father, from a very young age, instilled in you to go to Saudi Arabia. And not just Saudi Arabia because it has an Islamic significance, but there's poor people in all countries, particularly in second and third world countries. So the fact that from a very young age, when you gave someone and helped someone, albeit through cash or food, that put a smile on your face, or maybe a smile in your heart. And because of the love of helping others, you've been faced with so many trials and tribulations, to the extent that you've been locked up in prison for 3 years without charge. And some would argue without any rights. You know, your human rights were contravened. Your family, to be fair, I wouldn't be surprised if your wife contemplated leaving you at the time in which you were in prison. Was that something that was running through your head as well?
Yeah, definitely. But whatever. So when we did get married, I said, whatever happens to me, if anything does happen to me, because we don't know what happens.
That's true, yeah.
Tomorrow.
You can't tell the future.
Carry on with your life. If it means I'm dead, or if it means I'm away, locked up, find someone, get married, settle down. It's a part of growing in an understanding which is beyond this life, basically.
Were you compensated for your 3 years in prison?
Went to the hospital as soon as I came out of prison to get my X-rays done. They do the X-rays. They say there's nothing there, and I'm thinking, hey, you can feel it, right?
Well, even after 3 years?
Yeah, and the guy goes, you can feel it, but you can't see nothing in the scan. I thought, wow.
But didn't this incident of your ribs being broken happen at the very early stages of in prison?
Yes.
But you went to the hospital 3 years later?
Just so that I can get
evidence.
Okay, so right. Then I can go police station, say I was assaulted in prison.
Yeah.
I done that.
Okay.
The police came to me and said they don't have no evidence.
Okay.
It's just my words.
Okay.
And because it's a prison matter, the prison has to do with it. So it's I'm not looking at no compensation, but I just wanted to charge someone to get
You wanted
done.
justice?
Yeah.
Because you felt violated.
None of that happened.
Every which way.
None of that.
You look at it. I think from your narrative, a lot of it is like, it's your word, but I have tried to prove to the audience with the letters that you've provided us that your story isn't fictional, that you're on the Interpol list, you have been exonerated, and you were locked up for 3 years. What's remarkable is, after all of that, and the unfortunate thing is, and I think, if I may, the fact that if anyone has explosive guidance on how to make explosives on their phone, I think the authority should do everything they can to thwart that person and prevent them from causing any harm. That I agree with. But when no evidence has been found in supporting those claims, when someone then goes and puts someone in prison and makes them endure so much as they did, and then strips their livelihood away from them, even threatens them with taking their citizenship away, almost coercing you in admitting you're guilty when you're not guilty. Because if you had signed on the dotted line when they offered you the agreement that, look, listen, we're scaring you here, 25 to life, 30 years, charged with terrorism, or we can strip you of your citizenship and ship you back to where your mother and father are from.
So yeah, I would have been in Bangladesh.
How tempted were you to sign that?
I was very tempted.
What stopped you from signing it?
I was tempted. I don't know, something inside
Innocence?
Something inside me saying, sign it. Otherwise I'm stuck here 30 years. But then a bit of me is saying, don't. I won't be able to come back in this country for 10 years.
What stopped you? Was it your children?
Yeah, it was my kids. Because while I was in prison, I had another baby girl.
Oh, okay.
Which I didn't see, I didn't know of.
For 3 years?
Yeah.
Did part of your... I just want to understand your psychology, because, a lot of methods that were used, and I'm not no psychologist, to strip away your faculties from you, whether it's through isolation, whether it's through marginalization, whether it's through fear tactics. So when you didn't sign on the dotted line, was there a part of you that forgot about your innocence? Because under that pressure, it doesn't really matter whether you're innocent or guilty. It matters what they think, right?
Yep.
Because in your hearts of hearts, you knew you were innocent.
Okay, yep.
But did that matter?
Okay.
Did you forget about that? I just want to understand your psychology here. Did you care if you were innocent or not because it didn't matter?
That didn't matter. That didn't matter.
And why didn't it matter? Is it because of what you've observed and what they're doing to you?
No, because the reality of the justice system.
Right.
Realistically, there's no justice.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It's whatever they say.
You could be walking with your, let's say, mum's bank card.
Yeah.
Police pulls you over and says, "Oh, that's not your card." He will arrest you. I'll be honest. My opinion, 60-70% of the coppers these days are crooked, or they've got something in them that they don't like about you, or they want to use their authority. So this kind of characteristics is in a lot of police officers, and they're not from around here. This is why police officers get shifted from other areas to other areas.
Well, then that would be a gross misuse of power.
It's normal.
I get.
People are blind.
We have the evidence.
Everyone's blind to it. Everyone's blind to it.
But from your story and the fact that you were levelled with quite serious charges, and with the counter-terrorism acts that are in place, they directly contravene human rights. Essentially what that means is these draconian or punitive powers take away your human rights and give the authorities the mechanics to do what they want to resolve what they think is they're suspicious of, essentially. So they take away your human rights in order to ensure your safety. But at times, like here, when the brother is innocent, he's lost 3 years of his life. He's mentally been, I don't know, the mental impact it's had. He's been marginalized to great lengths. You've lost everything, haven't you?
So they had a confiscation order out on me.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, for what? So I got rid of everything. Once I come out of prison, it was a fresh start for me. Started from zero. And alhamdulillah, I'm happy and content. You know, it is what it is. But coming back thinking of it, it's like that time, what happened to me, I was going through something in the prison. What's happened to my children's mother outside? She was pregnant. She was about to lose her kids. She had to take out the kids from private Islamic schools because fingers are being pointed that she's an extremist. You see? So what did she do? Was her crime being my, father of her kids?
There's so many moving parts and there's so many people that get affected. And I think you've made that very clear, abundantly clear, and highlighted how many people it affects, regardless of whether they're innocent or guilty. Thank you very much for your time. I'm just going to turn to the camera. Thank you very much for sharing your story. It was very moving and powerful. The reason we did this episode was to highlight what can happen to one's life and how it can change overnight. This brother was, quite rightly so. I think if one were to find material that allows you to create explosives on a device, then yes, I think the authorities should use the full force of the law in order to get to the bottom of it. This brother, however, clearly explained that he deleted it. He was in a group, and that all seems plausible. Now, obviously, they have technology nowadays to uncover even things that you've deleted, which is a side point. The most important point here is this brother. Where is this brother's justice? He's been locked away for 3 years. If this was another individual in his circumstances, they probably would have lost their wives, children, livelihood, the mental faculty, and everything that comes with it. Not to mention, I said potentially harassment. He said it's beyond harassment. And he was put on so many lists around the world. He couldn't fly anymore. And look about, in this country, everyone has to work. His occupation, what job could he get? And he had to endure all of that despite being found innocent. So it's something that we need to think about and become a lot more aware about, that these things do happen, and it's not, oh, it's not happening to me, or I'm so far removed from it. This brother thought he was so far removed from it until he was had an encounter at the airport. So something that will leave you. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Bringing you the stories that matter. Like, subscribe, and share. See you next time.